Welcome to the Unfinished Business Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Mulvin, and this is a show where we sit down with leaders, creators, visionaries, and entrepreneurs who are out changing the world through their business, through their leadership, through their creativity, or through their organization. Because it doesn't matter who you are or what you've accomplished. Even someone like Steve Sims, still at the top of their career, had goals that they want to achieve and things they wanted to do with their career and their life. And so we explore those topics here on Unfinished Business with Eric Mulvin.
Unfinished business. Where people in tech connect to amplify. Unfinished business. Human intelligence plus AI. Unfinished business. Moonshot goals that launch you high. Unfinished business. Listen close and you'll learn why.
This episode is brought to you by PackBiz Outsourcing. At PackBiz, we help software, e-commerce, NEMT, and taxi companies outsource their back office support, dispatching, and customer support with a dedicated team in the Philippines. These are dedicated people working remote for you, handling calls, emails, chat support, tickets, so that you can improve support, scale faster, and keep costs under control. For example, there's one client that we help handle all their dispatching, and they're saving over $600,000 a year by having their dispatching being done by PackBiz Outsourcing. So if you're trying to lower costs or scale support, visit pack-biz.com to learn more, or give us a call Monday through Friday at 480-771-3009. All right. I am very excited to bring to you guys our next guest. He is a founder and chief innovation officer of TetraNoodle Technologies, an elite AI engineering company. With a remarkable track record of driving transformative change, he, through TetraNoodle, has touched at least 10 million lives and generated over $500 million in value through his expertise in technology and AI. His AI implementation frameworks have been peer-reviewed and published in the Mensa Research Journal, a prestigious science journal by the Mensa Foundation, an organization responsible for IQ research. He has shared his insights at venues like Cornell University and the United Nations, alongside distinguished figures like the Secretary General and Nobel Peace Prize winners, while President Obama and Bill Gates have recognized his work. With 4 AI patents to his name, he is the perfect mentor to guide you through the transformative potential of AI and its benefits for business. Join us and discover the limitless possibilities of AI under the guidance of this visionary master influencer. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Manuj. Hey,
Thank you
welcome to
so
the
much.
show, Manuj.
Wow. Yeah, that was a great intro. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to have you on the show. And a little background for you guys. When I do have a guest that we have some background together, I've gotten to know Manuj over the years. And although I don't know if I mentioned your name directly, but I've talked about us working together in the past, because I will credit him for being the person that pushed me into AI, which is, you talk about the millions of lives that you've impacted. And I could say that everyone in my company has been impacted by my push into AI, and that's thanks to you. So
Thank you
for
you.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what an incredible background you have. And as I had mentioned when we weren't recording here, that man, I've known you for years, and I didn't know that some of your background of like what the impact you've had with your AI and where you've been able to take it. And we haven't talked in a couple years too, so I'm excited to catch up with you and and share with the audience today some of your experience and expertise on AI.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, we meet a lot of people in everyday walk of life, and obviously, as you get to know, many people surprise you with what they have done. I mean, you are doing amazing work. You're helping so many people and touching their lives in direct or indirect ways, helping them to get to their doctors, helping them get to their hospital visits or what have you. So we all create impact in our own ways, right?
Yep, exactly. So and it's amazing if you start to really think about where, how what you help people understand with AI. The benefits of that are so far reaching. And I guess you don't, if you stop to really think about it, like, man, because I mean, some of the stuff we're doing in our company now with AI, it's, yeah, we're helping people like that, but there's AI behind the scenes that is helping empower people. And, you know, it's a, I know I wouldn't have gotten into it as early as I did because you were on me. Like when ChatGPT first blew up, I mean, it was out for a while, but when it really started getting popular, I remember Manuj, you were like, every day you're like, you've got to be on there. You got to start using it.
Exactly,
And you didn't give up. So thank you for that. But, well, so where could we start here? You know, being that you're, I feel like a pioneer in the AI space. Let's go back. Like, a lot of people look at AI and they think, now especially, they just think of like the recent era, but AI has been a thing for some time, and I know you've been involved with it for some time, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, look, technologies, they don't like come out of the woodwork on day one and become popular. Like, so AI as a fundamental technology has been around since 1960s. Okay. And then as the internet came along around 1990s, it started to become more kind of useful, but it needed a lot of expertise, a lot of technology infrastructure. So people with resources, they started to take advantage of this technology earlier on, like during the 1990s. So the richest people you see on the Forbes list today, right? Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or what have you, you can directly tie their wealth to when they started using technology in this way in their companies. Um, and then I started working with it 2005. It was still quite early days, like we had a lot of challenges, but we were able to build some meaningful technologies which helped students, which helped patients, which helped many people like truly achieve a good life in whatever they were trying to do, whether to get a degree, whether to heal their joint pains, whatever. So AI is a very flexible technology that can be applied anywhere. It's almost like electricity, right? And then now in 2022, something happened where the entry to this AI world was reduced to the minimum, meaning anybody can use it. You didn't need PhD in computer science. You didn't need like a lot of computers to run your algorithms. And that is sort of the revolution we are going through right now, where everybody can use AI to their advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what will come next? In many cases, we cannot even imagine. Of course, I can share my insights where things may be heading, but we are in uncharted territory almost, because never before in human history we've had a phenomena that such a powerful technology can be used by anyone, even kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I talk about that with my team, where it's like, when have you ever had a technology be the one that also teaches you how to use it and implement it? And it's like, your Google Gmail did not do that with email. It didn't. You couldn't ask it questions, and it tells you how to send emails or how to do a mass email blast.
Correct. Yeah.
So, um, so yeah, it's amazing what you've been able to do with that, and man, that's crazy how early on that you got involved with it. So back to your company, TetraNoodle. Tell me more about that. How long has it been around for now, and what is it that you guys do to help companies?
Yeah. So we have been around for 25 years. Okay. So I started my company back in 2001 after the dot-com bust happened. Like, so the story behind it is, just quickly, I moved to Canada in 1998, got a job in technology very quickly because of the dot-com boom time. But then in 2000, until around that time frame, in 2001, I had lost 4 jobs. So I was like kind of forced to start a company. So what we do is we make technology easy and scalable for people and secure for people. So anytime people have a technology at their hand, whether that was the internet, then the mobile phone, now AI, a lot of people can do a lot of things themselves. but it's almost like you are able to scratch the surface, but you're not able to go deep into the technology and really take advantage of what this what any technology is able to give you. So our focus is, okay, we understand the client, what they want to achieve, and then help them achieve that using technology, using our products, using our services.
All right. And man, you've had to adapt a lot over the 25 years, I'm guessing, because well, first of all, I guess I was like still in high school at the time when you started your company. But I think back on how I've had to reinvent myself over and over again. And man, if you're in this space now, it's like the stuff that you learned yesterday could be obsolete today, right?
Correct, correct. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, like I say to people, this may be a cliche, but if you find your passion, then it doesn't matter what the environment is doing. You're just like having fun. If you're like, I enjoy technology, so it's not learning for me as much as it's like a hobby. It's like a play, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very true. And good advice for people who are watching, get into something you've loved because when there's some dark days for entrepreneurship
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. That's
you
right.
need
That's
that
right.
motivation to keep going and not
Yeah.
give up.
Not just entrepreneurs, everyone. I mean, life is not easy for anyone.
Yeah, that's very true. What got you into this? I mean, like, what got you inspired to start a company and be in technology in the first place?
Well, I just love technology because here is the thing. Like, I'm an introvert, and I think we have like in our private conversations kind of like shared our stories. I think we both are introverts. I don't want to like assume for you, but I am an introvert. And initially, I really liked the concept of getting a machine to do your work, and you don't have to talk to anybody else, right? So I was like, okay, this is fantastic. I can just yell at the machine, say whatever I want to say, but it's not going to talk back, but it's going to like do what I ask you to do. By the way, what work I do, I can just copy it on somebody else's computer. Back then we used to have these floppy drives,
Mm-hmm.
so I can write a program, I can copy it on a floppy drive, I can give it to someone without exchange of too many words, and they can solve their problem. That was fantastic for me. So that was still today, that is the whole idea behind my drive towards technology. Okay, we build technology that helps people and it scales, and the company is a vehicle to do that. you know so yes, I was in a job seeking security, but we know life is not secure. I learned that earlier on. And so now my opinion, and this could be triggering for some people, I think salary is like a drug that people take to feel secure. Well, actually there is no security. So
Hmm. That is an interesting concept for especially those people listening that are thinking about starting a business. They probably feel it the most that it's a drug and it's hard to get off of because yeah, that false sense of security, especially these days, you see it in the job market. People are less loyal than ever to companies because companies are not loyal to their employees. Like
yeah.
I know back in the day, I mean, my dad, think of the era that he would work in, where people have their pension, they stay at a career for the same company for 30 years. You got the people who moved up from janitor to, leader. You don't really
Mm-hmm.
hear those stories too often anymore. That's like from
Correct,
back
correct,
in the
correct,
day.
correct, correct.
So, but yeah, I think the job market maybe still hasn't caught up. They feel like, oh, I need that salary, and I need to. It's hard for them to get off of that. So,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
so how have you helped companies find that security in entrepreneurship, or maybe using technology? Because I know that's a big way to help people get there.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is like, I one of the things about me is like I geek out on history and anthropology to see like what other people have done before us, right? And what I find is, even if you are on salary or you have a business, we all want to achieve bigger and bigger goals. Okay, and we only have 24 hours in a day. Everybody has 24 hours in a day. So what can help you achieve a bigger goal? Either it is your contacts or your intelligence or your resources or technology that can speed things up and do the repetitive things for you. But most people are not able to figure out the intricacies of these technology. For example, I have a nice car that I drive, but if it breaks down, I have no idea how to fix it, right? So I have to have a specialist who can do it quickly. Now, if I say, you know what, like no matter what happens, I'll figure out how to fix my car. I can figure it out. I'm sure. It will take me maybe a year, 2 years to figure out the whole, but I can do it. But why will I take it upon myself to learn how to fix the car where I can go and hire an expert to do it? So my point is that um, utilizing someone's expertise or products that have already been tried and tested gives you the edge over your competitors. And so that's how we help other people by leveraging this big lever that is now available to us, which is technology.
Yeah. Yep. And you're able to do that in amazing ways. I know some of the work you've done working with Fortune 500 executives, helping them learn how they could use it in their organization. And I could tell you, as someone who I took it upon myself to teach my organization AI, because there was nobody in the Philippines that was doing that, right? Like, they hear the headlines like, oh my gosh, AI is going to take away all these call center jobs. And for people in the Philippines, it's their lifeblood. So they're scared, but then no one's there teaching them how to use it. Like, it was the first time they were all getting exposed to it was when we started teaching them that. And you'd think, oh, you give them this tool and go figure it out. You could go run with it. But no, it takes a support system. It takes some effort to get people to start adopting these technologies, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely right. But the thing is, you gain the advantage. That's the investment you are making in your future, in your uh, team's future, and it will pay off huge. Because imagine, like, if somebody started, I literally have so many friends who started building websites when they, like, in 1996. That's all they did, just plain websites, and they're
Mm-hmm.
multimillionaires, right? Just because they figured out a skill that other people needed.
Yeah. I built websites in 96. I'm not a multimillionaire. What happened? No, but I mean, I do credit that to being the thing that got me into it today is like I taught myself HTML and I was able to see what technology can do because like back then, like it was for an organization, we had to communicate stuff out to everyone and no one in the organization took advantage of this. I'm like, look at this website I put together.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have to
yeah,
tell anybody anything. They could just go to the website, get the
yeah, yeah,
information, they could download
yeah.
pictures. And I mean, now AI is like that times infinity in what you're able to do for your organization. I speaking of like startups and people who are able to grow things, multimillionaire people who built websites, but one of the ideas that you always had talked about, and I'm curious if you still have this belief, you kept saying that there will be a day in the future where there's a publicly traded company with one employee. And I'm wondering, do you still believe that, or do you feel like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's already happened, right? Like, it's already happened. Multiple companies are being sold for hundreds of millions of dollars for with one employee. Yeah, like, yeah, I mean, just go Google it and you'll find out. I mean, literally, this guy Mark Zuckerberg is paying a salary of $1 billion to some AI experts that he hired. So $1 billion salary a year.
yeah? So it's already happening.
Absolutely, it has happened.
Cool. So
I think Elon Musk paid $60 billion to a company, Cursor, and it was like maybe like 16 months old company. I think two people started it. $60 billion.
wow, that's crazy. uh, yeah, I actually didn't know. I haven't been keeping up with the news, so I'm like, oh, when is it going to happen? It's already happening. So, well, what does that mean for business owners then? Because before, to be able to compete against, a company, that company is going to have massive resources, big headcount, offices, lots of expenses. What does that mean for a business when now you could be competing against someone that's just a team of one, but they have the footprint of a big company?
Correct. I mean, look, this is which is why I said we are in uncharted waters. Never ever this has not happened ever in the human history. But that's where the opportunity is. So think. I'll give you a simple analogy, right? Let's say you live in Arizona, and in your neighborhood, you find a secret gold mine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you can basically just take however much gold you want. Now you say to other people that, hey, you can take some gold and use it for your advantage, but if they don't use it, whose fault is it? So AI is that gold mine. Now the difference is, in the past, if you had to dig out the gold, you needed to hire a lot of bulldozers, people, a lot of machinery. So you needed to have a resource to mine this gold mine. So only few people had access to this gold mine. But now you can pay literally $20 a month and get this gold, right? It's up to you what you want to do with that. So yes, everybody will have more competition, but imagine if you had the gold, if you had the intelligence, if you had the resources, you can move much faster than large companies. Because in large companies, if they come up with an idea, the next time they will talk about it, they will have a meeting in 6 months about it. Okay? So the advantage you have is speed and reduction of the resources that you need to start something. Like the entry gates have been flung open for everyone. Everyone can build something.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great analogy. It reminds me of when you were first really trying to get me into AI too. I remember these different analogies where I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm gonna miss out if I'm not here. And it's interesting, that was already like 2-3 years ago. I think close to 3 years ago when you first made that push for me, and um, there's still people that are still like, I'm still hearing companies saying the same thing, like, oh, we don't know where to get started. They're still at the point that I was 3 years ago. Uh, I mean, for someone in your space there, trying to get people moving into AI to see the advantage of that. I mean, I guess you've looked back at human behavior and how people have adopted to this. I guess from your research, and where you think things could be going with AI, where do you see things going with businesses applying it? Because I mean, that everyone keeps talking about, hey, there's going to be the people who adopt it, and those are the ones that are going to be the future, and then the ones that don't, that are going to be out of business. I hear that a lot. Do you feel like that's really going to be the case, that it's just going to be like this black and white, almost pretty much like the people who are adopting and who aren't?
Well, so here is the thing, right? Everybody finds their own, water seeks its own level, right? So meaning most people are walking around with the latest iPhone, but there are some people who are still using their flip phones today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they survive. They're living their life, but it's up to them to define the quality of the life they're living. I mean, if they're not missing anything, all power to them. but if they come into the new era. Similarly, for businesses, there are many businesses still today with no website, right? So it's not like they they vanish from the face of the earth, but they just get so much disadvantage in terms of competition that they get left behind in that sense. But there is a kind of like a level of people that work in that order. Nothing wrong with that. Now the thing is that whenever this kind of technology brings new opportunities, obviously if you are early, if you go deeper, you will be able to extract more value from those opportunities, and you will go faster and farther, and it will become more difficult to catch you when there you have 3 years head start, or for example, for me, I have 20 years head start. It's difficult to catch up as long as you continue to go further and further and further, right? But human nature is, even let's say if we are like, let's say we are flood, like let's assume that somebody lives next to a river and there is a flood in the river. How many times we have seen on the TV that they will wait until the last moment to kind of leave the home. And
Mm-hmm.
that is human nature. I'm not criticizing it, because we always hope that I don't want to change my situation. I don't want to learn this new technology. I don't want somebody to take over my business that I have built over 20 years with hard work and manual effort. I don't want these things, but I will wait until the last moment, until water comes to this level that I cannot escape it. But some people will say, oh, I have seen this season before. The water is rising. Let me start to build a wall right now, and also have an escape plan just in case the water rises. So it all depends on whether you think you want to preserve what you have right now and not change, or you can see that change is about to happen. I am willing to let go of what I have so that I can have something new in the future. That's the only difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is true. People do survive, but do you want to put yourself through that? Being the one rescued off of the roof, being the last in the flood. So then there's options out there. So, but yeah, that's another interesting way of looking at it too, because that was one of the amazing things during COVID, that I was like, what do you mean? There's companies still that don't have a website,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean
yeah.
even today still, that it is interesting. I think, yeah, but I think for people watching the show here today, they're not the kind of people that wouldn't have a website. I think they
Yeah,
understand the web
yeah,
presence there, that and all of
yeah,
that. That's important, because I think you're just not going to get now. Before, like, I go back to the last job that I had, where I actually worked for someone, big corporation,
yeah, yeah,
Yelp,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like Yelp replaced the phone book, and now then Yelp and Google Maps have been a thing of how people look for information for finding a small business, but now so many more searches now are going to ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Grok, looking for that information. And if you don't have any kind of web presence, I'm going to take a guess to say that the AI is not going to know you exist either, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. Not just that, right? So see, we are attention starved. So we are always talking about, oh, does AI know about you? But also your intelligence, your wisdom. Like, is it being enhanced by AI? Is it interacting with AI in a cohesive manner and all that? So these are deeper topics. But yes, you're right. Like, the sooner you start to see how the world is changing, the sooner you can adapt.
So let's touch on that a little bit. You said there's deeper sides to AI. I think there's a lot of folks that, all right, they start using Chat GPT. Maybe they're doing some basic stuff with transcripts. There's levels to this, though, right? And I don't know if there's a standard set. I've seen there's 4 levels or 5 levels, or whatever the framework people have created. But a lot of people are really at that level one, just like ChatGPT, help me write this email, help me make this graphic. But there's so many more layers that you can get where the deeper you go, the more you could do, but then also the more infrastructure you need to get set up, and it starts becoming more difficult to implement. I think it starts getting closer to like what you were saying, what AI was like in the early days. Because like for me, I can't just go have an AI factory behind the scenes in my company without having engineers putting it together, without building those layers of data so that there's other applications that can come in and communicate with that. But for the people watching, so that maybe they aren't aware that it gets way more advanced, what are some of the levels that you feel like there are in AI where it's like, all right, this is level one for a business owner? Because I'm sure you could talk to people and you could probably already tell, like, oh, okay, here's where they're at, and they need to go way deeper.
Not see again. I will never say they need to go deeper. If they don't, you cannot change a human's perception. If they want to, yes, there are many levels. Even the level 5 that people talk about, it's autonomous organization, meaning this is, we are talking Star Trek level, where it's like you just talk to a human. There's like kind of like imagine a like a control room, like massive monitors, and you just talk to his AI and say, hey, make it happen, and then it'll just do it, right? Like, so we are going to be at that level within like maybe 5 to 10 years. I mean, that is where AGI sort of becomes powerful enough that it exceeds a human intelligence, right? But imagine in my world, I work at a deeper level still, because let's say if you found a genie today, right, and it says, hey, I'm ready to give you 3 wishes, anything you want, right? What do you think you will ask?
More wishes.
More wishes. Okay, so you see, your mind has been tuned in a certain way that given an opportunity, you know how to multiply it, right? In this very example. So the genie didn't do much other than amplify what you already had in your mind, right? So the 6th level is to enhance people's thinking. How much do you think, like imagine Elon Musk built a giga factory in 9 months. And a lot of people get frustrated with their bathroom remodeling because it has been held up with like for 15 months almost, or whatever, right? So what is it that his mind thinks that you cannot think about?
Yeah.
Because the technology is only going to follow your orders. It's not going to like make up stuff and say, hey, by the way, you could do it much faster. You see? So the 6th level is not AI automation, because those things are happening regardless. The 6th level is optimizing your mind and removing any limits on your mind.
So do you need to get to all the levels to be able to get to that point?
No. Life is never linear. Okay. I mean, look at anybody's life. I can guarantee you can trace steps when you elevated from one level to another. You met somebody, a new opportunity, a new job, a new kind of like coincidence that elevated you to the next level, right? So if you desire to go to the 6th level, you can start the journey today. But if you think in your mind that you need to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then you'll adopt that path.
That is interesting. It reminds me, I'm trying to look it up while I'm talking to you. It was in the 1920s or 30s, and I'm sure you know the example of the long distance marathon runner that
exactly.
No one ever broke 4 hours.
Ever.
People it's not possible. It can't happen until this one guy, which looks like Roger Bannister, Um, did it in no, it was a mile. Well, it looks like it was a mile. 4-minute mile is what he broke, and he was able to do it in 3 minutes and 59 seconds because he knew this is possible, and it took that mindset to make it happen. So you're saying it's like the same thing as applying to AI, which makes sense. Like whatever you give AI, that's what it's going to solve for. And so if you're saying we need to build this factory in 9 months, that's what it's going to solve for, not we need to build this factory. So you put those constraints in, and
Exactly.
you're able to move further. So
Yeah.
interesting. So well, as business leaders, and you work with a lot of people, it does seem like and you hear this a lot, like the thing holding you back is yourself.
Absolutely.
And it's still the same here. So
Absolutely. And it's going to amplify because in the past you could hide it behind other skills you had and people could not figure out. Now everybody is an Einstein, literally. Everybody is an Einstein. And this is not a joke because everybody has access to this intelligence, which is Einstein level intelligence.
Yeah. And I always thought, like, what happens in a world where everybody has access to the same tools? Because all of my competitors have the same tools. Now, how you use them, that's another question, but they still have access to the same things. And that wasn't possible before. I think of, like, in my space, call centers, and it reminded me, as you were talking about where the technology was in the early days of AI, you needed a lot of money, investment, equipment, infrastructure, engineers to program things to be able to do this stuff with AI that you could now pull up an app on your phone and do in seconds. Same thing with the call centers. I meet people in the call center industry, and they're like, man, if you had any idea the millions of dollars it took to put together an office with 100 seats that I could do in one afternoon, clicking a few buttons, and then everyone has a phone line. Like, they had to wire things up. Everything was like their crazy PBX boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's the same kind of thing. But what does that do to businesses when it? And I think that's where maybe some of that unknown comes in, because what are people going to do when everyone has access to the same technology? Because I'm seeing this a little bit now, and I'm curious what you think about this. With ChatGPT, and I'm guessing a lot of the tools, but I see it a lot with ChatGPT, where ChatGPT is like a graphic designer. It has a certain default style, just like it has a certain default voice. And if you don't do anything to change that default style, there's millions of people in the United States that have hired ChatGPT as a graphic designer. And that designer is making, like, if I'm scrolling through my LinkedIn, scrolling through Facebook, I'm seeing a lot of the same designs, like, it looks very similar. So one thing that I'm starting to see is, like, how do you differentiate yourself? I mean, I know the answer, but the interesting challenge that I'm starting to see with people who are using this default graphic designer, everyone's stuff looks the same. Like, I just saw 5 restaurants in a row. They all look like they're the same restaurant. It's just a different name and different food. But that's happening in business. It's happening. It's a highly visible thing that we're seeing on our feeds. But that's also happening in offices and boardrooms and strategic planning meetings. So I'm curious. I'm curious where things are going to go when everyone. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any question there. It's just I don't know if you have any comment or what.
No, I can comment. I can just certainly comment on this. Right, you are actually rightly pointed out. This is a very important conversation that everybody has the same tool available to them. Now, human nature is to do the easy thing. Okay, so it's very easy to fall into the trap of, oh, I can just use AI and do it, but then a million other people are doing it. So what happens is, over time, everybody becomes average, right? And some people are okay being average because by law of nature and mathematics, most people are average. I'm sorry to say that, right? But only few people take the time to go and kind of refine their art. And those are the top 5% in any industry, Whether you have a tool or not, whether you have technology or not, those are the people who are kind of like refining, and rising above the average. So the tools are not going to get you there. Your desire to become more than average is going to get you there.
I love that statement. Yeah. So great advice for you guys watching. You got to be that 5% because otherwise I'm just seeing it now. I mean, again, going back to the example, but if you have 20 competitors in the marketplace and everybody's going to ChatGPT with the same prompt, make my strategy for 2027 and, how do I help my business grow? They're all going to get very similar versions of the same strategy,
Yeah,
and you're all going to be doing very similar things, not
yeah,
differentiating yourself.
correct. Exactly.
So interesting times to be a business owner. Uh, what about, like, I'm curious, are you seeing any kind of divide? Because growing up for me, like websites and all that, like that was a young person's thing. Like older
Hmm.
people didn't really want to get into the technology. I mean, I think of my parents that didn't even want to learn how to program the VCR. I had to go in and program the VCR for them, and every time the power went out, you had to set the clock back again. They just refused to adopt technology. Are you seeing some of the same patterns with AI, or are you seeing something entirely different?
No, absolutely. It's the same thing. And this is, again, there's nothing to do with technology. It's human nature. Every technology takes time for adoption. And as I said earlier, like there are some people walking around with flip phones, and that's okay. Um, Here is another, like I already mentioned this, but I'll try to clarify it. You see, even kids and very old people are using iPhones today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you take out that device, there is unbelievable complexity inside that device. Unbelievable. Okay. And it's amazing how it lasts one day, like, for average for the battery charge, and it can like connect you with the entire world, and you can like conduct your business on the phone and do whatever the hell you want to do on the phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But none of that complexity is visible to the user. You can just take out your phone, just use your fingers, and you can start working with it. So the true power of technology is not when it is complex, but it is easy. It is easy to use for anyone. And these are some of the things that we as a technology company do that other people cannot do on their own. Meaning make it so easy and transparent that technology moves out of the way so that you can go faster in whatever you are trying to do.
Yep. Yeah, that is true. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to bring some software to my company or something, and I'm like, "This is exactly what our company needed. Go run with it." And then 6 months later, what the heck happened here? Like, no one logged in, even no one has submitted anything in this tool. I've been paying for it. So yeah, that's it's a very true. Human behavior. It's a fun one. So, uh, I'm guessing then you've looked back quite a bit at human behavior, and I've thought about that too. I mean, I haven't done much of the research, but I have thought a lot about that, living through the .com boom, living through the rise of the smartphones, and I've really tried to think, okay, there's patterns here that are just repeating over and over again, and we're going through the same one here, where it's like you could already tell, like, not exactly what's going to happen, but you could see where things are headed. And I feel like a lot of businesses are putting their head in the sand because the pattern's repeating in front of everybody's face, and yet some people are still deciding to, oh, I'm going to wait it out. I'm going to sit on the roof and wait for the flood to get higher. I wanted to talk more about your business, though, because you do help companies with that. So, like, what are some of the things that you're seeing? What are some of the problems you're seeing with people being able to adopt this? Is this what's holding
Mm-hmm.
people back?
So first and foremost, it's the human identity. Okay. So what is happening is, as people are seeing that their competition is beating them, or their industry is getting automated, or they are not able to understand how they will survive in this world. Their identity is at stake. Meaning, in our world, when we meet someone, the first or second question is, what do you do? That is how we recognize a person, and that is how the person recognizes themselves, that okay, I am a director of blah blah blah, I am a vice president of blah blah blah. But as these jobs are getting in danger or disappearing or whatever, now the question is, who am I? And it is very uncomfortable to say I am a nobody. It's very uncomfortable to say, and that acceptance is what is creating the resistance. Okay, now what we do is we go in there and find out what their true identity and their true purpose is, because in most cases they are not living that life already. So in the new age of AI, what will be most important is somebody who can help people find their purpose, find their identity, build a tool that can actually create that for them, and then help them monetize whatever they bring to the table.
That's really powerful because I think a lot of people think about it from a different aspect. And I love the angle you bring, and I'm sure there was some influence from you on my beliefs around AI because I feel the same way. You know that it really is all about the people, and you know I'm trying to empower people. You're looking at it from a whole other angle, almost like the guru up on top of the mountain that like will help you find your purpose. But there are so many people in life that are going through life and have no idea, and they don't have that self awareness, I guess. But that's another angle too. Like as business leaders, and you're helping business leaders understand how to leverage these tools, and part of that, a lot of that is some of this self awareness. Like, what does it take for a business leader to be able to take maybe a tough conversation they had and bounce that off of AI to say, I could have done better in that, in that conversation. How can I become a better leader? How can I handle this situation better? Those conversations, those questions aren't coming up if the leader thinks they are the best. There is no room for improvement. Why is there anywhere to improve? It comes back to the people again too. So, I mean, does any of your work touch on that too? Because I
Absolutely,
think,
absolutely. Not only that, because after doing so much deep research on human behavior, that also is a safety valve. We cannot. It takes a lot of courage for somebody to say, "Tell me my faults." Okay, and not only that, but as business owners or anybody who has achieved something, you also understand that growth happens outside of your comfort zone, never inside. So imagine this phenomena that I don't want to be told where I'm bad at or where my boundaries are, yet I want to grow. Meaning, I don't know where my boundary is, how to cross it, but I want what is outside of that boundary. Imagine putting some address in your GPS and saying, take me somewhere. The GPS is going to say, where do you want to go?
yep.
Right? Until you put in the address, it's not going to start. So my point is, when we work with AI, imagine it is always nudging you outside of your comfort zone and then helping you figure out who you truly want to become and helping you get there. That is the true use of this technology.
That is so for you guys watching, listening, think about that because you might think, oh, it's there to help me write better emails, put together better strategies, put together a better marketing plan. But again, this is where it goes so much levels deeper that you're just at the surface level with some of that stuff. There's really a lot more you could impact, and it's it's pretty crazy to think of how far reaching this could be. But I mean, some people might. I've seen it. I've seen conversations pop up where they're like, "Oh man, they were feeding the whole conversation into ChatGPT, and I'm being manipulated by AI by this person." But on the flip side of that, there's people that are generally just trying to get better in their lives and their career, and it's just a tool to help you to do that. So, yeah, I mean, with there being like a million directions this is going with AI, and anything is possible. uh, in the last couple of years since you and I have last talked, what's some examples of some things that you've seen people do with AI that's been like shocking in a good way? Not, I know we could find shocking bad ways, but where it's like, man, I never thought about it from that angle, or wow, that's so innovative that they were able to use it for their business. Because I mean, there's every day people are doing stuff like this.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'll be biased here, so rather than using other people's example, I'll use what we are using it for,
Yeah.
which may surprise you. So we are using it to help people with chronic pain. We are helping people with ADHD to calm their mind. We are helping parents connect with their teenager kids. We are helping people get rid of their what do you call it, addictions. Okay. These are some things that used to take decades of work, hard work, and we are able to do this in 4 to 8 weeks.
That's life changing. I mean, especially, I mean, the things you talked about are very heavy topics
Yes.
for people, and things that plague them for their entire life.
Yes.
I'm kind of interested. Is there anything you can share more about any of those?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's you mentioned this word self-awareness. That is the most important word for the AI era. If the more self-aware you are, the more you will flourish in this era. So think about chronic pain. And this is all science-based, by the way. Go ahead and do your research. Chronic pain actually is stuck emotion. So something you were not able to accomplish, something you blame other people, blame the society, blame someone, you got divorced, blah blah blah. Those things, they carry energy and they get stuck in your body, literally. So how do you, and over time it builds up, it creates chronic pain. It's your body telling you that there is something wrong. And so how do you find it? You take medication, you go surgery, but there are new ways now to use AI without surgery, without medication. I'm not saying this is a cure for chronic pain, but it actually starts to relieve without these intrusive measures. Take, for example, connecting with their teenagers. Teenagers are anyway trying, getting isolated these days. There's a lot of problem with teenage suicide because they're isolated and whatnot. And when the parents are not connecting with their teenagers, it negatively affects the parents, negatively affects the teenagers. And let's imagine there is a very successful business owner. His whole company is automated, but he cannot connect with his teenager. What good is that AI?
Yeah.
Right? So what we do is we help raise the self-awareness of the parents so that they can connect better with their teenager, rather than the parent saying, why doesn't my teenager talk to me? They can start to understand what does the teenager actually want, and I can facilitate that.
Yeah.
Rather than like changing the other person, what changes can we bring to ourselves so that people around us start responding differently?
I have a lot of curiosity with your thoughts on things. So there's obviously a lot of doom and gloom predictions, and a lot of, I mean, they make the great headlines, and there's plenty that you could attach to find the negative parts of AI. I don't want to focus on that. Because I also believe, when you have these infinite possibilities, then it also means that, there's possibilities where we solve these problems. We solve these chronic illnesses. We do find a cure for cancer. We do solve these political, like, why do we have to have all these wars and stuff? For you, what are some things you're hopeful to see in the future that maybe wouldn't have been possible before with AI?
I think you just listed them, right? Like find cure for cancer, find cure for chronic pain, find cure for wars, find cure for poverty, find cure for, lack of education, lack of water. Um, these are huge problems which humanity has been trying to solve for like since we were in caves, right? Every new level of technology has helped because no matter how difficult life is for anyone, if we look at our life and compare it with what people used to live like in 100 years ago, we are in so much better shape.
You don't even
And
have to go
go,
back that far.
yeah, exactly. And so continuously as technology has evolved, it has provided the benefits, you know. So now um, we will have these solutions, but by the way, human nature is to create more problems as we find more solutions. So there is no I cannot imagine a world where there is no problems. When these problems get solved, some other problems will come up. That means more opportunities will come up because entrepreneurship is all about solving problems.
So there'll always be room for us entrepreneurs because there's going to be new problems. That's a good point. I really thought, oh, with cell phones, internet's everywhere, this is going to be so great. If you go around and talk to everyone now about how they feel about social media, probably not as positive as they did back in when it first started coming out.
Correct,
And
correct.
so it created a whole new set of problems, which is, yeah. So 2 steps forward, 1 step backward, maybe. But now we got some solutions to help tackle it. And but there's always room for the entrepreneur to solve those problems.
Exactly.
Before we started the interview, you had mentioned that you've been working on. There's something that you have started new that was the first I heard about this. Something called AI Merge, right? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I think people listening, they might be interested in like, I like the way that Manuj is talking about this, and I'd like to maybe see how I could learn AI through that same lens. So, tell me more about that program.
Yeah, I mean, the technology that I was talking about, chronic pain, connecting with people, and in business scenarios like making faster decisions, being a better leader, collaborating better. It's all related to this idea of self-awareness, and self-awareness can be increased by various practices. A lot of self-reflection, a lot of self-control, or we can use a technology like AI. What we have done is created something called AI Merge, which is essentially in kind of creating a bridge between your mind and AI in a way that AI understands you better rather than you understanding AI better. Okay. And then from this, when you interact with AI, it kind of helps you to really unlock what is already there in your mind. The limits that you see are all created by you. So imagine there was a wise person like a genie or somebody who has centuries of wisdom. They are guiding you to understand what those limitations are and how to remove them. That is what AI merges.
Wow. So, what kind of people would be good for, like, are you attracting entrepreneurs? Or, I mean, it sounds like anybody could really fit into that with the
Yeah,
way you made it kind of broad.
correct. So the idea is that when industrialization happened, we needed to create everything at a certain size, at a certain color, because that's how you can produce it. With AI, hyper personalization. Like we can create a solution that fits any. This may be counterintuitive to a lot of people, but to answer your question, who are you attracting? People who want to get ahead. So again, this is nothing different. When industrialization happened, people who figured out how to run the machine, how to fix the machine, how to kind of like produce quality material with the machine, they became factory owners, they became industrialists. When internet came along, people who figured out how to create websites, many of them became billionaires. Like more billionaires were created in the last 20-25 years than any time in history because of technology. Now the same thing is going to happen again. More millionaires and billionaires will be created in the next 20 years than were created in the entire history because of AI. So to answer your question, it's people who recognize this is a force that needs to be harnessed before it takes you over, and they want to go deeper, further, faster. Those are the people that we are attracting.
All right. Well, my kind of people who are listening to the show here. So, all right, cool. Well, thanks for sharing that, and we'll get some information. We'll have some stuff in the links so people can connect with you on that to learn more. Um, another question, maybe a little bouncing around here, but there's a belief out there, and a concern that I think maybe they don't have all the information there, but like AI is going to replace everything, right? Like, and especially me, I have this call center. I got a lot of people. I just came from the conference, and across from me are booths for software companies that are like, you don't need people. We do 100% automation for your dispatching, for your calls.
Mm-hmm.
And people in every industry. I mean, I'm here in Phoenix. You can go out and you could see the self-driving cars driving down the street. It's visible. I'm like, man, I'm a driver. My job's at threat. I'm working on a phone. My job's at, and now industries that traditionally have not had that kind of threat. Now people are like, I'm a lawyer. Now I'm an accountant. Am I being at risk of being replaced by AI? So what does the future look like when I think people are going to the extremes and they're like, how is the society going to work when everyone's job is replaced by AI? What are we all going to do? And who's going to spend money with these businesses when there's no money to spend when they're not making anything? Like, I mean, that's one version of the future, but it is one that I think a lot of people share. And I'm curious what you say to people like that.
For sure. Well, I think I'll use an example which is being used everywhere. And before the car was invented, there was a whole industry of people whose job was it to keep the roads clean, cleaning up horses, uh, literally like shit, you know, because everything depended upon horses, and horses eat and then they, excrete and needed to be cleaned up. That was the industry. Okay. And I don't know if people know, so most people know this example. There was another example. I think for some industry, I think photography or electricity, they actually needed a chemical that is found in human urine. Okay, so there was an industry that their job was go to people's home every day and collect human urine. Okay, literally, you can look it up. So my point is that as technology changes, the job that needs to be done also changes. Going back to my previous principle, these are fundamental principles. When humans find a solution, they create other problems. Okay, so it's not like jobs are going to go away, but the nature of the job will be different. Okay, so how will it be different? I don't think there will be a job that requires you to do work 40 hours a week.
Yay. I
Okay,
know a lot of people are clapping for that one.
yeah. So what you will do is think of an Uber driver. You will say, I have this expertise. I'm available 5 hours a week. Who wants my services? And somebody will say, I want that service. I'll pay $200 an hour for you. And somebody will say, oh, I need this service on a Saturday. I'll pay you $300 an hour for that. And then you will say, okay, I think I need to make this much money. Instead of 5 hours, I'll do 7 hours a week. And you will make yourself available. And then you will do the job, you'll get paid. So think every industry has an Uber app, every industry. And that's how the economy will evolve, in my opinion. Now, tomorrow something else happens, I don't know. But the way things are moving along, this is how I see.
Then people will be in control of their schedule. They'll be able to dictate a lot more, because I feel like right now I think that's part of the challenge is a lot of people, business owners alike, they feel like, oh, this is all happened to me. I have no control over any of this, and which is not true. There are things that you could do. It's if you apply into the stuff we're talking today, you could. There's a lot you could do, but I know that's the belief that's out there. Another thing that I've thought is that I have a belief around is, you know, just along with like self-awareness being one of those critical human traits that we need to really lean back into more than ever with AI. Creativity. What do you feel like about the future and creativity and you know, with AI? Where do you see things it going in that direction?
It's going to be tremendously valuable, tremendously valuable. Okay. I think, if you go read history again, in the 1500s in Europe, there was a period called Renaissance. Okay. In Renaissance, most of the rich people were either painters, musicians, like other than the actual right kings and things like that. Like kings
Yeah.
used to seek out musicians and painters and poets and give them like massive salaries because they wanted to create something. You know, you can go look at historical buildings. They spent fortunes on creating buildings. So architects were needed, designers were needed. So creativity is going to become very, very important because of what you just said. Like, if everybody is producing the same thing, human desire is to have something different. Like, I want something that really speaks to me. And how will that happen? It's the most creative person who can use AI to create something that other people cannot create using AI. So increasing your creativity and taking risks and going where other people haven't gone before is going to be key.
Yep. And it touches on like there's a quote that I like to say all the time. I want to be doing things in 5 years using technology that doesn't exist today, and that's what's also pushed me. As you know, when AI came around, I'm like, there you go. There's like my quote manifested. Like it's exactly what is happening right now. So yeah, but that's a great point you bring there. So. Um, Getting close to the question, actually, I could keep going all day with these questions, but I know we have a limited amount of time here and can't make these episodes run too long.
Yeah.
But talk to, I know we got a lot of family businesses. I met a lot of family businesses at this last conference, so we might got some people. Shout out to the people who are watching who I met at Nemtech in Orlando, because there's a lot of new followers, I think, that met me out there. But there's a lot of people with kids, right? And there's like myself, I've got two young daughters, and I'm really trying to like before is like, oh, we got to make sure they know the computer. They got to know these certain technologies. What do you think is the most critical things that a parent can be teaching their kids today to help make sure they're successful in this new future that we're finding ourselves in?
I think we already covered many of these things, right? Creativity, communication, ability to take risks, resilience, um, not following other people's path. That's very important. Um, these are some of the things, and above all, above everything is self-awareness. Like even teens need to be self-aware. Like I'm teaching my kids not just how to use AI, but how to get a feedback from AI that elevates them little by little on its own. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
That is interesting. Yeah, because I've been trying to get my kids. They're really good about pointing things out. They're like, I don't know how old your kids are, but I know my kids love pointing out, oh, that's AI, that's AI,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
then the grandma's like, how can you tell? But yeah, there's giving kids that skill is extremely powerful because then you know what can they do with it on their own. I mean, you could exponentially increase their capabilities, and by the time you get to college you could be way further ahead than your peers. So that's a self-awareness for kids. All right, I like that. um, well, as we're getting to the end here, uh, always end every episode with this one question, and I didn't prep you on this, so I'm curious what your answer is going to be. But our show's called Unfinished Business, and so we always ask people, like for you, you've had, and I should have asked you some questions about this. I don't know how you were in a position to have people like Bill Clinton and Barack Obama reviewing your work, but you've done a lot in your career, as I mentioned back in the intro, and as we've talked through this whole episode. But for you, what's the big unfinished business for you? What's something that you would like to see in your career, in your lifetime, be achieved?
Yeah, I think I may or may not have shared this crazy goal I have, is to use technology to help 20 people win the Nobel Prize.
What's the inspiration behind that?
I don't know. It is a crazy thing that happened to me, like during the pandemic. Like I was in meditation, deep meditation, and something like a voice kind of appeared in my head. Is like, do something with technology to help 20 people win the Nobel Prize. I think I was going crazy. I literally thought going crazy. But then 6 months later, I was invited to give a talk, and they put me next to a Nobel Prize winner. I was like, how did that happen? And so the work that I have been doing in the last 5-6 years, AI merge, this research, it's all about that. Like if you increase your self-awareness to a point where you are able to understand your own capabilities, your way that you can connect with people, you can leverage resources available to you. And if you work with 500 brilliant people, 20 of them will for sure win a Nobel Prize.
That's crazy. I love it. I got to connect you with one of my past guests, Derek Maines. His answer was to win the Nobel Prize in economics. So if you could help him, now you've only got 19 people left on your list.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah.
But that's cool because that now you're the second person that mentioned Nobel Prize as one of their answers or being involved with that. So, which is it's very well, it's noble is in the name, but it's very selfless to be dedicating your life's work to something that will help tons and tons of people.
Yeah.
And well, Manuj, I thank you so much for taking some time to share your thoughts with our listeners here today. And you left me with a lot of things to think about as well. And I hope for the listeners too, a lot of things that you could be applying to your business. And also now there might be some people listening that might want to connect with you, maybe learn more about AI Merge, or just follow you along your own journey. You do have your own podcast. I know you mentioned earlier you have over 400 episodes out. So if people do want to get more into the mind of Manuj, there's definitely some ways to do that. But what's the best way for people to connect with you?
I think the best thing is I can offer is go to aimerge.live and experience the technology for yourself. It's a 10-minute preview, but you can feel what I'm talking about, not think, feel, and it will help you understand what this episode was all about, what my work is all about. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, look me up and send me it.
Right. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Manuj. And for those of you guys watching, if you like today's episode, make sure to subscribe. We're on anywhere that you listen to podcasts, and on social media, look for @BizWithEric, where you can see we release episodes every single Tuesday with amazing thought leaders and people who are out changing the world, like Manuj here himself. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. See you later.
CEOs and visionaries shaping what's to come, building more than profit, lifting everyone. Every path's unique, but it takes a choice to grow. Set your goals and shape the way your future goes. Unfinished business. Where people in tech connect to amplify. Unfinished business. Human intelligence plus AI. Unfinished business. Moonshot goals that launch you high. Unfinished business. Listen close, and you'll learn why. Subscribe, look for Eric Online, and follow Unfinished Business on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen.